Well, we come to eventually episode 100. I couldn't have believed when I started that I'd get this far. But it all started on the 8th of August 2021, firmly into lockdown, and it all started like this. Welcome to my workshop. It's what I would call the typical workshop of most of the country. Most people don't have a large workshop to work in, so I have to make do with what I've got, and at the moment it's in a bit of a turmoil. But through it all, there have been changes within the workshop. You'll have noticed that from that initial clip. The layout of the workshop has changed several times. There's been repairs to equipment. But for the benefit of my brother, I have actually done some woodworking, honestly. Now, I started with this. Just a small support for a tablet computer so that we could keep it upright while we were having meetings on Zoom. I've made 2 fences for the bench router, and this is the second one. There's been a sewing table cabinet for my wife. But I can't believe how long this current project has taken. So now we come to the cupboards and sorting out all of the wood. So first thing I'm going to start to do is work my way through the pile of wood that I have in the shed and work out what I can use where. It's all started, this current project, the 13th of May 2023. As I say, I can't believe how long it's taken to get this far. I'm making progress, yes, and hopefully my woodworking skills have improved over the 3 years that I've been running the channel. Hopefully my video and presentation skills have made it a little less tedious and painful for you as subscribers to the channel. And I'm so grateful for the comments that you've made throughout this channel, and that really brings me to the current project. Now, we left last week with me cutting the slots on the varying bits of framework so I can put the panels into the cupboards and of course the doors. But we finish with me trying to work out how to put a rabbet into the top and bottom of the cupboards to take the varying shelves. Now the top one, that poses no problem because, for example, that's the slot that will take the the panel, and those are the top pieces of rail along the back of the and front of the cupboards, and then along the sides. So that's the slot, and that is going to be like that, and the panel will be just there. So putting the rabbet in for that corner will pose no problem. My problem that I only realised last week, how to do that with the bottom rails, because obviously the slot, the panel will go in there, but that distance is only 8mm, and to give the shelves any chance of staying in place, it needs to be 10mm in width, which means I can't have the shelf and the panel at the same time and keep everything level. So the problem was, how do I make sure that I fully support the bottom shelf while not compromising the panels? And I'm very grateful for the comments that you've made. Now the comment that I liked the best was from Dave Reese, and he said, I reckon just rabbet the top and glue and screw the battens, glue and screw battens around to support the bottom. And that's an excellent suggestion, Dave. Thanks ever so much for that, and I'm going to take you up on that one. It's going to be the simplest option. The last thing I want is to start milling oversized components just to provide that support. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. It will mean trimming the bottom shelf to size, because I'd cut them all with a view to insetting them, but that's going to be the simplest solution. So fine, I don't need to rabbet these, I just need to rabbet these. Great. Right, the cutter I've chosen from last week is the 20mm cutter, and I've set the fence to about 10mm from the front edge of the cutter. I've adjusted the fingerboards so that my test piece will run smoothly, but I've only set the height. It should be 15mm. I'm seeing how it goes with taking it in 2 passes, because that way I can get a good idea of how things are going to work. So the first pass is just to check the distance from the front of the cutter, and then I can see how the second pass goes with the height, because I want to be able to fit the shelf in. So let's give it a go. Right, so that's the first pass, and as I said, first off, check the width of the rabbet, and that's actually 10.7. So I could do with easing it this way. I don't want to go beyond 10 really. I need to be ideally as close as I can. So see how this one goes. And of course I've just realised I was going into the existing slot with that one, wasn't I? That was clever. So let me get another test piece. Second test piece. And the width on this is 10.5, so we're getting there. I said it should. Let's have another go. Hmm, 9.5. So bang on 10mm. I'm going to call that a day for adjusting the fence. Mind you, I didn't lock it down, so, but I'm going to leave that as it is. Right, now cutting that in one pass was quite easy, so I'm going to leave it at that. I've got the position right. I'm just going to start cutting the rails with that first pass, then I can raise the cutter height to its full depth. There are only 8 pieces to do for this rabbeting. Now the 4 side rails, those are the simplest because it's just the opposite corner to where the slot is. So the slot there, which means the rabbet will be there, and so all that means is take it from there and pass through. The more difficult from my point of view is the rear rails, because I've got to make sure I'm doing the right section. So for this one, that's the bottom, which means that's the bottom, and so those are the tops. That's fine, but which part do I want to cut? Now my thinking is I will cut on the I'll put the piece through the cutter with the face side being the one that's visible to the naked eye. So for the rear rails, that's going to be, that side faces out, therefore that's the corner that I want to take out, therefore it's like that. And the same with that. That's the face side, so therefore I cut that like that. Now these, because these are the rails that will be at the front, that's the side that will be seen, therefore because these will be at the front, they will be like that. That's how they will appear in the workpiece. So it will be those, that corner, so that's going to have to be like that, and that's going to be at the front, so it's that corner, therefore cut like that. I think I've got it. Anyway, the only thing that I will need to move for this is this finger board when I come to these rear rails. Okay. So come back to those in a couple of minutes. Let's get these done. That's those two. Just move this out of the way. Then I can do the double height boards. Right, so that's 7.5mm. Let's just double check. Well, 6.5. So next pass will be to more than double that. Let's just move that out the way. So this needs to be 15. And what I'm going to do is test that before I trust my regular workpiece. So where's my test piece? So that is just under 14. A shade under 15, so where's my shelf? Now you might not be able to see it, but there's about a 1mm lip, so move it up a shade more. And that's a nice smooth fit. Lovely. Finish these off. That's nice. And so that will make a nice rabbet for the top shelves. So the next thing will be to get the wood cut for the supports on the bottom rails as well. Right, the bottom rails are here. So the two long ones for the one cupboard, second cupboard, and then I've got the 4 rails for the sides, two there. And what I'm going to do, I think, these are offcuts from when I cut down the shelves to correct size, and they're all thick enough to bear the weight, and 2 long rails for both. And what I thought I'd do is cut those 2 down, because they're about the right size, about the right length. I'll cut them down the middle, and that will give me support for both rails. And then for the 4 side rails, I thought I'd use that one for those 2, and then I've got much thinner pieces. They're wide enough, and that should be fine, I think, for the other 2. The next thing that crosses my mind, because of that bottom shelf, it's going to be taking a lot of weight, and yes, because these supports will be running the whole length of the long rails, it's going to be supported along its length. My initial thought was, do I need anything to go in the middle? Just to support that middle section. I know it's only 270, 280 millimeters wide, but will that be enough? Will it have enough strength in the shelf to take the weight, or do I need something across the middle like that? I'm going to think about that one and see what happens. So that's for that. I'm just going to tidy up, and then I'll see where we are for the rest of today. Well, after I've tidied up, that's as far as I'm going to be able to get today. But at least I know where I'm going now, and that's the next little project to do on this project, with putting the shelf supports in. And as I said, I'm going to decide whether I need a cross member, just to give a little bit extra support to that bottom shelf. I'll see when I've given that a little more thought. But as I said, that's as far as I'm going for today, and because of family commitments, I'm going to be taking a little break from the workshop for the next 2-3 weeks, but we'll see how we get on. And yeah, thanks ever so much for your support. I'm very grateful for the comments that you make, and hopefully it's not too boring for you with me rabbiting on. But yeah, as I say, thanks for coming along with me, and I'll see you next time.